Ever pondered if Australia actually exists? Yes, you heard it right. This is the conundrum we're going to unravel today. Now I can already hear the chuckles. You're probably thinking, how outrageous, right? But let us take a moment to appreciate the sheer audacity of such a theory. It's like a splatter of Vegemite on a canvas of reality. Conspiracy theories, they do have a certain charm, don't they? They take the mundane, the accepted, and throw it into a whirlpool of questions, leaving us both baffled and intrigued. It's like a koala bear in a detective hat, cute yet mysterious. So, is Australia just a figment of our collective imaginations? A land of kangaroos and didgeridoos simply a grand illusion? Well, that's what we're here to explore, so buckle up, or should I say strap on your kangaroo harness as we dive headfirst into this. In the heart of the internet, a theory bubbles claiming Australia is as real as unicorns. Now let's dive into this rabbit hole, shall we? The conspiracy theory asserts that Australia, in all its kangaroo-hopping, Vegemite-slathering glory, doesn't exist. That's right, folks. The land down under is just under. This theory, like all good conspiracy theories, has an origin story as fascinating as the theory itself. It started in the murky depths of Reddit, where a user, probably sitting in a dimly lit room, proclaimed that Australia was a hoax, a grand illusion, the Las Vegas magic show of the geographical world. The reasoning? Well, it's as delightfully absurd as you might expect. The story goes that the British government in the late 18th century didn't actually send their convicts to Australia. Instead, they offloaded them into the waters, leaving them to an unfortunate fate. The existence of Australia was then fabricated to cover up this mass atrocity. Fast forward to the present day, and the plot thickens. The theory suggests that every single person you've ever met who claims to be Australian is in fact a paid actor. That's right, your Aussie friend Steve. He's been fooling you with his charming accent and tales of dangerous spiders. The Australian government, the Sydney Opera House, kangaroos, and even the Great Barrier Reef, they're all part of this elaborate ruse. And what about the 25 million people living in Australia, you ask? Well, according to the theorists, they're living a lie. They're actually in South America, blissfully unaware that they're part of the greatest cover-up in history. So, next time you're enjoying an Australian Shiraz or watching a rerun of Steve Irwin wrestling Crocs, remember it's all smoke and mirrors, folks. So, according to the theorists, Australia is a figment of our imagination, a ploy by the British government. But what about the 25 million people living there, you ask? Now there's the rub, my friends. The theory's got an answer for that too. According to this mind-bending conspiracy, they're all actors and computer-generated personas. Yes, you heard right. Every single Aussie you've ever met or seen on screen, they're all part of this grand illusion. That's right, the theory suggests that these so-called Australians are either paid actors living elsewhere, or sophisticated AI characters. So, your Aussie friend from high school, probably an actor from Idaho, that charming person you met online from Sydney, just a really well-programmed bot. Imagine the casting call for that gig, folks. Wanted 25 million actors to play Australians. Must be able to say "G'day mate" convincingly and have a fondness for Vegemite sandwiches. It's a laugh, isn't it? This theory takes the cake for its sheer scale. It's claiming that not just one or two but 25 million people are fooling us. And they are doing a bloody good job at it, aren't they? I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of a conspiracy that involves kangaroos, koalas, and Tim Tams? And let's not forget the celebrities. Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, Chris Hemsworth, all supposedly in on this grand charade. Have they been fooling us all along with their convincing accents and tales of life down under? It's a bit like the Truman Show, isn't it? Only instead of one man living in a fabricated world, we have an entire continent of actors playing out a script. And let's be honest, if this is true, then Hollywood should be worried. Because these folks are putting on the performance of a lifetime every single day. But of course, we're just having a bit of fun here. It's a wild theory, and like any good conspiracy, it's got its fair share of holes. Yet, it's fascinating to ponder the lengths some theories will go to explain away our world. So, Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, are you listening? The jig is up. And behold the proof that Australia doesn't exist. So, you've heard the theory, met the Australians, and now, let's delve into the evidence that supports this mind-boggling assertion. And what a wild ride it's going to be, quite literally. First off, let's talk about the wildlife. Australia is allegedly home to some of the most unusual creatures on this planet. Have you ever seen a platypus? It's like nature's own Frankenstein's monster. A furry creature that lays eggs, has a bill like a duck, a tail like a beaver, and oh, it's venomous too. Sounds like someone's got a little carried away with their creature design, doesn't it? And then there's the kangaroo. a marsupial that hops around on two legs, carries its babies in a pouch, and can box better than most humans. And let's not forget the koala, an animal that spends most of its life asleep in trees, living on a diet of eucalyptus leaves, which, by the way, are toxic to almost every other creature. It's almost as if someone's been having a good laugh at our expense concocting these outlandish creatures. But let's move on to the geographical proof. Australia is supposedly located in the southern hemisphere, which means that, according to the laws of physics, it should be upside down. Yet Australians are not walking around with their feet in the air. Strange, isn't it? It's like gravity decided to take a vacation down under. And what about the fact that it's summer in Australia when it's winter in the northern hemisphere? It's as if Australia is in a parallel universe where everything is topsy-turvy. So to sum it up, the proof that Australia doesn't exist includes a menagerie of improbable creatures and a country that defies the laws of physics and seasons. It's quite the rabbit hole, isn't it? One might even say it's as real as the Easter Bunny. So the kangaroos and koalas are in on it too, huh? Of course, not everyone is hopping on this bandwagon. There are those who prefer to keep their feet firmly planted in the reality we call Earth, and they're not shy about voicing their skepticism. First off, we've got the cartographers. Now, these are the people who spend their lives mapping out our world, and they argue that, well, Australia is right there on the map. They claim to use satellite imagery, geographical coordinates, and a whole lot of math to prove that Australia isn't just a figment of our collective imagination, but of course, they would say that, wouldn't they? Then there are the geologists and environmental scientists. They'll tell you about the unique flora and fauna found only in Australia, like kangaroos and koalas, or the Great Barrier Reef, the largest coral reef system in the world. But could these just be elaborate hoaxes? I mean, have you ever seen a platypus? It's like a beaver decided to play dress-up as a duck. Don't forget the historians, waving around their documents of Captain Cook's voyages and the establishment of the penal colony in the late 18th century. But who's to say these aren't just well-crafted pieces of historical fiction? And then, there are the millions of people who claim to live in Australia or have visited the country. They share stories of their experiences, photos of the landscapes, and memories of interacting with the locals. But could these just be paid actors, all part of a grand scheme to convince us of Australia's existence? Each of these skeptics presents compelling evidence, but their certainty is what makes the theory all the more intriguing. After all, isn't it just a little suspicious how sure they are that Australia exists? It's almost as if they're trying too hard to convince us, isn't it? But then again, those skeptics could be part of the conspiracy too. So, where does this leave us? You might be asking, scratching your head in bemusement or chuckling to yourself. We've taken quite the journey, haven't we? Let's take a moment to tie up all the loose ends. We started with the existential question: does Australia exist? Then we heard from those who fervently believe that the land down under is nothing more than a grand illusion. Delving into their world, we met the so-called Australians, unique characters who seem to be blissfully unaware of their non-existent homeland. We even examined the proof, a collection of outlandish evidence that would make even a kangaroo hop in disbelief. We heard from the skeptics too, those who staunchly refute this theory, holding fast to their belief in the Aussie land. It's been a wild ride, full of humor, irony, and a fair share of kangaroo puns. In the end, whether you believe Australia exists or not, remember to take everything with a pinch of salt, or should I say, a spoonful of Vegemite.